Hello everyone, Dr. Sean Reyes, Las Vegas podiatrist. Hope you had a good Christmas and I hope everyone's relaxing and enjoying the holidays. Many of you at home are probably like, where's Dr. Reyes? That's not the same guy as the last video, because in the other videos, Dr. Reyes had an amazing beard that wasn't patchy at all and it filled in great. Where'd it go? Well, I decided to shave it, get ready for the new year. Gotta admit, I feel so fresh and so clean. In today's video, I'm gonna be cutting and debriding some nails, and I'm going to get as close as I can with the camera. Now, the patient is diabetic with neuropathy, and if you remember, neuropathy means nerve damage. It's one of the many complications of diabetes. Now, that nerve damage can be mild with some pins and needles, numbness, tingling, and burning, or it can be so severe that the patient can't even feel their feet, and that's what my patient has. Now, this is a problem. When those nails get long, they start to dig into the adjacent toenail skin, which can cause a wound, and that wound can lead to an infection, and that infection can make its way to the bone, which we call osteomyelitis, and that often leads to an amputation. We actually amputated a guy's toe last week because he didn't cut his nails, and the toenails dug into it and caused an ulcer. Now, when you look at the top of the foot here, it doesn't look like a big deal. What's the problem? But when you look from another angle, those suckers are curling in, and that's a problem. So I'm going to cut those today. Let's get started.
Dr. Reyes, 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 Dr. Reyes.
All right, let's get started here, especially with that frickin' super curly one there. Oh, that one's been bothering me the most. Now, just a heads up, this camera is new, this new lens I love. It gets super close, but I am still experimenting with it. And my assistant is usually the one who's doing the recording here, but she was out all week, so I had to do this on my own. So I do apologize if I get off center at times. For the most part, it's acceptable, but it does get a little frustrating sometimes. Now, you'll see a lot of little crud underneath that nail. That is not nail, that is a soft tissue that just peels off. And look how red that is, right underneath that. You can see where the nail was just digging in. I'd say another month or so, that would have broke down and would have caused some big problems for her. And a lot of people have been asking, why would anybody let these nails go for this long? Don't they have family or brothers or sisters or roommates that'll clip the nails? No, a lot of patients don't. A lot of these patients are homeless, a lot live alone, a lot are widowed, and a lot, even if they did have family members, how is that going to play out? You know, you're just sitting there around the kitchen table. Hey, little Timmy, get down here and get your ass down here and cut grandma's toenails. No, it's not going to work like that. It is important to see a doctor and get it done properly. Keep in mind what's going on with the diabetic patients too. A lot of them have eye problems. Their vision isn't the greatest. And then the whole point of them coming in is that they're high risk. They shouldn't be cutting their nails to begin with. If they were to go down there, and they probably can't even cut them because they're super thick, and they end up nipping themselves, cutting themselves, leading to a wound, amputation, problems and infections. We don't want them cutting their own toenails, but it's not as simple as just have somebody else do it. A lot of these patients cannot do this on their own. Now, this little doozy here is just the thickest one of the bunch, and it's a fungal infection here. On the other ones, it's questionable, maybe to a degree, but there's blackness, there's yellowness, there's thickness, it's crumbly, it's mycotic, meaning fungal infected. And this one, I love to go to town with the Dremel on that, and you'll see me go to town with it here in a minute. A lot of people have been asking me, why don't I moisten the nails? Well, I do sometimes, but I find the Dremel just eats away at this thing. I'm much faster with the Dremel. The dust does get in the air, but I'm wearing an N95 mask, and I could drizzle some water on there, and I may do a couple videos with that as well. So be patient, my baby birds. I will be making all kinds of videos. I'll do some where I just clip, I'll do others where I Dremel, I'll combine the two, I'll moisten the nails, I'll get some water sprayed on it, so don't you worry. Let's get a little closer here with the Dremel, get some Dremeling action on this thing. You know what? Let's get closer.
Closelier.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I love this Dremel. This thing can just eat through the thickest of nails. Now, why do I choose to Dremel really thick nails as opposed to cut them? I'll be alternating both of them, don't worry. But I find the Dremel is much more efficient, much more faster, and it also makes the patient more comfortable at times. I find when I'm using the nail nippers, sometimes the tissue under there, you can see there's not a clear boundary between nail and tissue. Sometimes that blends and the tissue underneath gets hypertrophic, meaning it gets thickened. And when you're going in there with some nail nippers, and those suckers are sharp, and you're just kind of clipping, you're bound to nip that really thick tissue and cause some bleeding. So I prefer the Dremel. And then when you're getting the nail clippers and you start just taking a bite of the nail, it creates a pressure at the base which patients find uncomfortable. Now, I don't have that problem with the Dremel, but again, to each their own. You go to 100 different doctors, you're going to get 100 different ways of doing this. Many doctors don't even use the Dremel, you know. They just sit there and clip them and call them a day. But I will be making videos where I apply softening agents and getting the nails moist and all that. Especially when I use that curette. I really like that when the nail's moist, just comes off nicely. And just finishing this up nicely. You'll see it's a night and day difference here. Now this little sucker here you can cut as well. You can cut or Dremel, either one. Just choosing the Dremel here. Now diabetics, why are they more prone to these thick fungal toenails? Well, there's several factors that come into play. First, they tend to have poor circulation. They also tend to be more predisposed to these type of things because their sugar is naturally high and they have sugar going through their blood and they just have a general susceptibility to fungal nails. And third would be trauma. You know, many of the patients, this one especially, they have neuropathy and they can't feel their feet. So they get little micro trauma into the nail and that causes a buildup of fungus over time. This is not something that happened overnight. Fungal nails, the number one cause that I see is trauma. If you're 12 years old and you drop a can of Coke on your great toe and you damage a structure at the base of the nail called the matrix. Think of the matrix like the brain of the nail. It is responsible for it growing. And if you damage that sucker, it's going to grow in funky for the rest of your life. And it just paves way for the fungus to get in there and just start causing more problems. The other thing is too, you could get rid of the fungus completely, but if that nail is damaged and you damage the matrix, it's going to grow in funky regardless if you have a fungus or not. And please, stop falling for this bull crap products on TV telling you they're going to cure the fungus. If you have a mild fungus, yeah, you can maybe get some luck with certain things, but insurance typically doesn't cover medications for this. They do cover a pill, oral Lamisil, and we do have to monitor your liver when we take it, but there's some good treatments out there, but there is no cure for this. And look at this. When I go with the Dremel, it's just night and day. It looks like a normal nail again when you get that top superficial layer off. Now you can tell the adjacent, just the toes in general, have that scaly, very dry appearance. Again, that is another side effect of diabetes, dry skin. And I always tell patients, and for those listening, do not apply moisturizer between the toes. That can lead to a fungal skin infection, basically athlete's foot. You get interdigital maceration, meaning you get just whiteness between the toes that can break down the skin and cause more problems. Now, let's separate fungal skin from fungal nail infections. Two different beasts. Fungal skin infections are pretty damn easy to get rid of. Fungal nail infections, very difficult to get rid of. Think of throwing dirt on a wall and I just get a hose and brush the dirt off. That would be more like a fungal skin infection. But if that dirt was mixed in with the concrete that built the wall, now we're talking about a fungal nail infection, which is just very difficult to get rid of. Oh, that one was satisfying to get. That was a good one. Now I'm going to go through the tips here, but I'm going to switch it around and give you a frontal view here. It's just too hard to see the front, so I'm just getting the tips. Just the tip.
Just the tips?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now watch this. Look how the nail just looks night and day when you get that top layer off. Almost looks like a normal nail, eh? You think I can move any freaking slower? There we go. I think I was adjusting the camera there. This patient was super cool. We ended up talking for like 15 minutes after this. It was during lunch, so you know I can do that. I can get away with that. And the effects of diabetes is so insidious. They add up. I can't stress enough, if you think you may have diabetes, go see your doctor. You should be seeing a doctor every year to begin with, just to get a general checkup. You need to know what's called your hemoglobin A1C, and that's a measure of your blood glucose levels over a several month period, and it's very representative of how well you've been controlling your sugar. You need to know these values. The effects of sugar are just horrific, and they're so sneaky. It's like a heart attack. You're fine, and then one day you wake up and you start getting these problems. The big three that they're going to be hitting are going to be the eyes. You're going to have vision problems, the kidneys. I see a lot of patients on dialysis with kidney failure. And then the feet. You get neuropathy. Starts off with a little numbness, tingling, burning, prickly feeling, pins and needles. Then it can fully go into full-blown neuropathy where you cannot feel a damn thing. Just adding the finishing touches here. Yeah, just gonna clean them up here, make them look real nice. Look at that, night and day difference. Anyway guys, thanks for sticking with me this long, and thanks for watching. Just let me know what you think. If you want to see more like this, more wounds, more calluses, more warts, whatever it is, I do it. Have a good holiday.
What's going on, everybody? I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please click the like and subscribe button with the bell notification so you're notified every time I upload a new video. I also have a martial arts channel that's pretty sweet. You can check out some of the videos here and follow me there as well. Anyway, thanks for watching.